Federal regulators blamed Silicon Valley Bank for its own demise, while senators asked why the Federal Reserve didn't do more to fix previously documented problems at the bank. U.S. financial officials outlined what may be the biggest regulatory overhaul of the banking sector in years after SVB and Signature Bank chaos. The Fed will enhance stress tests, and the FDIC will propose options for deposit insurance adjustments. The Fed has also launched a review of SBV supervision. Our Rise business analyst, Bode Oshoshimi, joins us live. Bode, good morning to you. What are the main takeaways from the Senate hearing on the Silicon Valley Bank, which continues today?
Well, the hearings went on for 3 hours, and good morning, Reuters. Thanks for having me on the show. And we had Michael Barr, Vice Chair of Supervision, FDIC, and Chairman Martin Bloomberg, Treasurer and the Secretary for Domestic Finance, Nellie Liang, testifying on what went wrong. All three officials are continuing their testimony again today, this time before the House Financial Services Committee. Based on prepared remarks, you remember we said they had already put the blame on Silicon Valley Bank, pointing to weak liquidity and interest rate risk management processes that had been flagged well ahead of the crisis. The testimony later revealed that there were 2 bids to buy Silicon Valley Bank received by the first weekend after the collapse. One was rejected because they didn't have board approval. The other was deemed to be more expensive to the FDIC than liquidation would have been. So regulators moved forward with liquidation based on the fact that both bids were not acceptable. Also, if not for the swift shutdown of the bank, it was revealed that there will have been a much more severe outflow, a much more severe run on the bank than we had seen. Obviously, like we've been saying, this is the first digital run on a bank in a digital age, and the pace at which these runs happen is really something that the regulators had never experienced before. A report will be issued by May 1, which would include confidential information about SVB. They also rated SVB a 3 in terms of their management in their 1 to 5 rating, where they look at things such as capital adequacy, asset quality, management earnings, liquidity risk, and sensitivity to market risk. And we'll see what happens today. Before the Republican-led lower house, they are likely to go even more after the quality of supervision by Michael Barr, who took office as Vice Chair of Supervision of the Fed in July 2022 for a 4-year term. Markets are not expecting a bombshell as calm returns after the recent turmoil. The FTSE 100 and European stocks were higher this morning as anxiety about the global financial system, I think, is beginning to fade following these high-profile bank failures.
And UBS bringing back Sergio Ermotti as the CEO to help the takeover of Credit Suisse. What are your thoughts on that development?
That's quite interesting. It was a surprise this morning. There was a press conference as well. And at the conference, the chairman of UBS, Scold, he said merging UBS and Credit Suisse brought significant execution risk. So they were really worried about moving ahead with this, and they had to bring back Sergio Ermotti, adding that the upside in the transaction is there. Shareholders see that, but the execution risk required stronger hands. We don't know if Hema, the previous CEO, was pushed out. Initially, it seems he may not have bought into the merger, and the board and Swiss authorities maybe wanted stronger hands to lead the charge. Ermotti has extensive investment banking and wealth management experience. Is said to have been credited with executing UBS's turnaround and scaling down investment banking operations after the series of scandals and losses that nearly cost UBS serious troubles in the past. So he has had good experience in dealing with this type of thing. UBS shares were up over 2% this morning in the Swiss and Frankfurt exchanges. So markets are reading this as good news. Of course, Ermotti is more likely to weed out the staff landscape across both Credit Suisse and UBS and may take advantage of this crisis to help UBS come out better. The main challenge is, of course, stabilizing the bank, maintaining momentum of business operation, not allowing the integration process to weigh on performance. And there are other issues, culture issues, finding synergies, engaging customers, employees, and other stakeholders. A lot of communication has to be carefully crafted, and proactively putting out information on the progress and setting expectations, including all the various integration and restructuring costs, which could be quite significant. And it helps obviously you're comfortable with the multidimensional restructuring of this nature. The obvious issue here is that this was imposed by regulators and the execution risk could be high. There would be surprises on both sides, and a comprehensive review is a must ahead of any integration. We'll see what goes on, but clearly laying off thousands of staff, dismantling Credit Suisse's investment bank, and reassuring customers will be top on the agenda of Motti. But it does look like good news based on how markets are reading this.
What else do we know about this call to pause AI systems as far as the development is concerned?
Well, I went into to read the letter myself. It's a call for AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months. Development of systems more powerful than GPT-4. It had 1,125 signatures. I signed into it, but it goes through a very long verification process to ensure there are no, those who are signing in know what they're signing in about. But there are some alarming paragraphs. For example, should we let machines flood our information channels with propaganda and untruth? Should we automate all the jobs, including the fulfilling ones? Should we develop non-human minds that might eventually outnumber, outsmart, obsolete, and replace us? Should we risk loss of control of our civilization? A bit of an exaggeration in certain areas, but in tone, the tone is cautionary, but still positive. They say humanity can enjoy a flourishing future with AI, but it needs to get it right and not rush, quote, unprepared into a fall, unquote. So the letter is asking for a pause on advanced AI development until they've properly engaged with the regulators and understood fully the various disruptions to society. Essentially, we know that regulation typically lags in innovation, but this time they're saying innovation is moving a bit too fast. We need to slow down, talk to the regulators, talk to people about what this means, and be sure they get it right. Tesla already uses AI capabilities, so Musk knows the positive applications. Incidentally, this letter comes as the EU police force Europol, that was on Monday, they voiced ethical and legal concerns over advanced AI. They were warning about potential misuse of the system in phishing, deceptions, outright disinformation, bias, and they're saying that people are using it for cyber crime. So, well, I guess every innovation has its challenges. This one maybe is moving too fast.
All right, business analyst Bode Oshosumi. Bode, thanks for taking us through the headlines. Appreciate your insights as always.